Yeah, welcome. Man, it's night, so it's a little bit different, Yeah. Yes, how you guys doing? Yeah. Long time. Yeah, so yes. I think the last video that I had, I think smoking weed and substance, so I think I left it off, with that kind of vibe, but today, I want to talk about something a little bit more close to the health also, but you have to understand, when I'm coming out here and talk about because the health is kind of shift a little bit, before, back then, if you're not healthy, you either have a flu, a cough, maybe injury or anything like that, you go to the doctor and they give you few medication for you to take, so, and then it goes away for a little while and then it comes back again during winter time, or maybe sometimes summertime. You think maybe you are allergic to something, allergic to a flower or anything that's something that has a little bit of dust on it, you think that you're allergic to that, so you stay away from certain things, so it kind of have changed a little bit, over the years, I think slash 2018, 19 and 20, on going forward, so we start seeing the patterns that we never seen before, but now it's a little bit on the light right now, where you can see certain individuals that's coming out here and expressing they're talking about health, you have to take certain medicine, you have to take certain herbs, you have to take certain just something it's somebody just woke up out of nowhere and had certain antidote or detox or something like that, and just press the camera button and all of a sudden it has a way to solve certain problems, but when I'm coming out here and talk about health, I try to make it as simple as possible, because you don't want somebody all the time to tell you what to do all the time, to eat, to sleep, to take certain drugs or to take certain medicine or to take certain herbs, years after years. You always want to listen to someone all the time, that's just you still being a handicap, not really understanding what health really is. You don't have to go back all the time to the same person to get detox or medicines or anything like that, so I'm trying to get into the cause of the situation, but I'm not trying to make it as I'm a medical doctor or anything like that, I'm not into that, I'm trying to get more into the situation where you be able to witness, the things that we, listen to or consume or continue doing it, and it shows a pattern of a sick person, so that's the reason why I had in the beginning the marathon of consuming, very important videos, consume, very, it's just you watch something but you're not really sure about the situation, but you still watch it anyway, but you get the information from someone who might be qualified, who might not be qualified, in some of my videos I say I'm not a naturopathic, or I'm not a medical doctor or anything like that. I'm just speaking about like my experience, like but the world that I'm seeing right now on my healthy journey, like is not really a big deal. It's not really a big deal in my world, like so and from my experience, like I think like in the way I say things, like it might be some people might think like, ah man, I know this guy, like who was doing certain different things, like all of a sudden he's coming out here and talking about like health, like because he's just healthy out of nowhere, like so but during my journey, like on my experience, like not only was I like this, it's just like I didn't have the time really to come out here and talk about it. So as a really early on, like I was always wanted to be healthy, like I always wanted to be healthy, like I was like trying to stop certain things all the time and start trying to drink a lot of water, or trying to, because I was always like in sports, so less going out clubbing, less drinking, and less hanging out with people who smoke weed or smoke cigarettes all the time, like so I always wanted to keep myself always fit all the time, for the game or for training or anything like that it's going to benefit me out, in the football games, like so or during those journey, like I start like experiencing like certain like that like people who seems or look like very professional in things that they do, like but when they're working on you, like it doesn't really fit your that it doesn't really look like this person is really qualified, where you all of a sudden like transition yourself like into somebody who eats healthy, or the food that you're eating right now, like is complementing you also, and by you doing that, like and all the pain that you used to have before, like where you used to go to certain practitioner, or maybe somebody who knows how to do some physiotherapy or anything, like that's gotta do with like health, like in the health industry, like basically. So and me transition myself, like from what I used to do before and eating healthy, like so and I find it like what I'm doing, like is more beneficial and also very not that difficult, but obviously when somebody comes out here and say the things I'm saying, like that you can just switch over to something that's it will benefit you also, like it might not taste like the way you used to taste food before, but you're gonna get used to the taste, like the taste will be like later on, like you just want to be healthy, at first you just want to be healthy, let me just be healthy first, and then after that, like you start like getting used to the the food that like complements your body, and also like gives you energy also, like to do things that you want to do also, and you have more time also like to think also, like because you get bombarded with a lot of like lot of information nowadays, like so you can just go to your phone out there, like you see TikTok, you see everybody talking about health, you go to Instagram, everybody's talking about health, you go to YouTube, everybody talking about health, and everybody's just on health, like health, and but me saying that, like and now, like it's a little bit more harder for you now to find somebody who really in a position, actually, to put you in the right path, for you to eat healthy, and you just have to listen to some of them, like when they start like giving you already something like for you to take, like out of nowhere, like they just say like some big words, and then all of a sudden they give you like a detox or something like that for you to take, and it's exactly the same thing, like, you know, when you go to a doctor maybe, like, you know, and listen to some, you know, you tell them what's wrong with you, and then it gives you, you know, a tablet for you to take, antibiotics, whatever it is. Like, you know, everybody, you know, in the in your community, like, you know, they know everybody is on antibiotics, like, you know. And but in more like a naturopathic world, like, you know, where everybody like takes natural things, like, you know, it start getting a little bit more dangerous right now, you know, because as I said before in the last video, like, you know, where everybody is making all these herbs and then these compounds and this new invention that's gonna heal like your liver, it's gonna heal like your colon, it's gonna heal like your eyes, it's gonna heal like I don't know, like, you know, but so it's more harder nowadays, like, you know, for you to find somebody, like, you know, for you to trust to take certain things that can actually like benefit you, like, you know, on your journey, like, you know. But it's easier, you know, when you actually like listen to your body more. And it's very simple also, like, you know, when you feel like you have a, you know, a tummy problem, like, you know, and usually, like, you know, we think straight away, like, you know, we need to put something in our body, like, as quick as possible, like, you know. But you might be deficient, like, you know, on some water, you know, you don't drink enough water, or, you know, you might not even like, you know, eat enough like green food, like, you know, you just like cheese and pizza and burgers, you know, a lot of like carbs, you know. So, and your body might look like or sound like, you know, or maybe feel like, you know, you need more carbs, or maybe even like protein, like, you know. And we're gonna get into this protein like conversation also, like, you know, because protein is the reason why that everybody is a little bit more cuckoo nowadays also, like, you know, because everybody's talking about protein, like, you know. But when you ask those people, like, you know, what does protein really do for your body, like, you know, they won't really tell you like what does it really do, like, you know, it's just like protein. But when they say protein, like, you know, what they're saying is it's just growth. It's like saying, like, you know, carbs, you know. So you don't get the protein from the animal, like, you know, just fat, you know. You don't want to look skinny, you know, you don't want to look like somebody who looks like anorexic, like, you know. So you need protein. They just put the word, like, you know, it sounds very intelligent, like, you know, but it's just fat, you know. So they put protein also in those protein shakes also, you know. Then you go to the gym, they know, like, you know, you're gonna go to the gym and take those protein shakes, like, you know, you bulk up, but then you're gonna go back into the gym also, like, you know, because it's empty, you know. So you're gonna need, like, you know, for you to burn all this like fat again, like, you know, because fat is just empty minerals, you know. So, and it just makes you fat, like, you know. So but really, like, if you ask people, like, you know, what protein really is, like, you know, they wouldn't really like tell you, like, you know. So now we move a little bit forward, like, you know, I'm gonna come back into this protein conversation also, like, you know, and it's important also, like, you know. So we now, you know, it's a new direction that I'm taking, like, you know, into more like science and sanity, like, you know. So I had a video there a while ago talking about, you know, people, you know, weed and, you know, and taking a whole bunch of drugs, like, you know, and you know, putting it out there, like, you know, it's something like that's great for you to take, for you then, you know, to witness a different galactic world or whatever. There's like a different like layers of like world that you can witness, like, you know, which is a little crazy. So now I want to piggyback a little bit on this one also, like, you know, because it's very important also, like, it's going to lead into really what I'm trying to really accomplish here in this video, you know. So we have this guy, his name is Tayam, you know. Tayam is a Congolese brother, like, you know, and he's really in politics. He always talking about, like, you know, I think he wants to be the voice for the black community, like, you know, in Ireland, basically, you know. And I don't know, like, he's very well spoken, like, he's very well spoken. I think he sat down a little bit, a couple of years, like, for him to, speak the way he's speaking, like, but you can be well spoken, but the things that comes out of your brain sometimes, like, it doesn't really, match, like, your, what you really stand for, like, and I was just there a while ago. There was an incident happened, like, to a Congolese brother, like, and because we're in a situation right now where everybody's very in the edge of saying something, everybody have a camera phone now, everybody is like looking for the don't like me person, don't like me person, like, racism, I don't know, systematic racism, and and all this craziness that's coming out, right? Like, from last year and this year also, like, I've just witnessed that, like, on, most of them will be like on TikTok, and then most of them will be like on Instagram also, and YouTube, all those platforms, like, and he's trying to compare an incident that happened in Dublin, and then an incident that happened, I don't know, in Dublin also, but there was a different culture that was attacked, like, by somebody who doesn't look like their culture, like, and then we witnessed, like, somebody putting cameras on somebody who looks like us, but it was like a different people, like, working on the brother, like, and obviously he came out, he said, it's not a racial incident, like, and I kind of like not agree with him, like, I wouldn't say I agree with him, but I would say, like, is he has to take a little bit more further than just saying, like, it's not a racial thingy, or is something that, we should not just jump straight away into a situation, like, I agree with him, we should not like jump straight away into something like we don't really understand what really happened, like, we just seeing the brother there in the ground, and then something that's really graphic for us to watch, like, but me watching him sometimes, like, there's things to be saying, like, and him complaining after an incident happened, and then he goes, looks straight away up and says, like, it's the government, like, why, brother, man? Why, like, what's government got to do with, like, the incident happened in the shop, like, what's the government got to do with, like, people that are dead, like, what's it got to do with that, like, like, you think those governments are coming out here and holding people's hands at nighttime, when people are drinking alcohol, or people are mentally ill or anything like that? You think they're responsible on somebody who, who goes out and drink, and then, go out and fight, all of a sudden, like, some incident happened, and all of a sudden you say it's the government's fault? Like, why? Like, well, you just keep saying, if you're politics, like, you can just like compare politics and death, like, that's just weird, bro, man. So he's been saying things like that, like, so we have to understand, like, and even though it's like we trying to study, also to come out here and say, like, oh, we want to, make sure, like, that when we say things, like, we trying to better our community, we trying to teach our community, we want to say things to our community, so our community can actually, like, absorb, like, the understanding, like, what we really trying to say, or what we really trying to accomplish, like, but when you're trying to say something, you need to really, do some, like, inner work, like, by saying, like, okay, this thing happened, like, but we cannot then point fingers, like, on somebody else, like, from your understanding, like, and say, because this thing happened, it's the government's fault, like, that's just weird, like, you cannot just ask somebody also as a human being, like, has the time to wake up in the morning and come out here and see the incident that happened, like, it's just weird, man, like, I don't know. But I would like to have a conversation with this Tayam guy, like, I'm still text him there the last time, like, you know, he ignored like some of my comments, like, you know. So, but we cannot always like go out there and because an incident happened, like, you know, and then everybody open up like cameras on the phone, like, you know, and start talking about an incident, like, you know, and talking about marching and protesting, you know. But a week or maybe a month after that, there was a gentleman, like, you know, who also passed away, but the person who actually transitioned the brother was also a brother. But we don't get any protests, we don't get any marches, you know, because we know somebody who looks like us, like, you know, there's no need for us to protest. Like, when somebody like from a different culture, like, you know, done something to us, like, we want to jump out here, like, you know, talk about it's a racial thingy or like, no, man, you know, that's not the way it works. Like, no, if a community, you know, there's just a white community or just a Chinese community or just a black community, like, you know, it's easier for them to hurt each other. Like, Chinese people, it's easier for them to hurt each other, and the white people, it's easier for them to hurt each other. Like, you know, when they hurt each other, like, you know, there's not gonna be a commotion out there coming out there and talking about, like, you know, we killed some of our own and then we want to protest, you know. Like, nah, man, you're just gonna deal with them, like, you know, like silently or something like that. Just, yeah, you know, however they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it the way they know how to do it. Like, you know, black people, the same thing. We actually showing the people also, like, you know, when anything happens to us, like, you know, we're not gonna go there and protest and anything like that. We're gonna have even more rage, you know, for the person who looks like us, or we want to have a get back, we want to have a catch you later, or we want to, you know, get a group of gang, like, you know, go out there and do something to the person. Like, but when it happens like to someone, like, you know, who doesn't look like us, we going out there and talking about like peace and march, justice, you know, and then we just like, you know, it doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good, like, you know, it just doesn't look good. So the reason why I'm saying that is, like, you know, we're in the situation, like, you know, where everybody's like really angry nowadays, like, you know. So this anger is coming from like all this like words that you used to hear in school, you know, calling you a bunch of names, you know, names calling, because you put that racism, like, you know, in front of everything. Like, you know, now that racism like affect like the whole world, like, you know, that you live in today, you know. But if you take the racism off, like, you know, what's the feelings that they have for you, like, you know, for them actually to create that word racism? Like, what's the feeling like? Because before you create anything, like, you need to have a feel of something, like, for you to create it. Any word, like, you know. So what's the what is the motive? Like, what's the feeling that they have for you, like, you know, for them to create that racism, like, you know. And what's the meaning of that racism anyway, like, you know. If I don't like someone, like, you know, I have to feel something towards someone, like, you know, that I don't like him. If it's I don't like him, if I hate him, if I want him dead. So you have to question those type of like feelings, like, you know, what feeling do you have, like, you know, for you to create that racism, like, you know, for you to then to bombard it on me, like, you know. Why is it? Why is it, like, you know? Just take the racism away and then we're gonna figure out, like, you know, what. Yeah, why is it like? You know, because, you know, if you do ask one of them, like, you know, if they say racism to someone, if they ask them, like, you know, would you actually put your child, you know, now you know, like, you know, the people who doesn't look like you, like, you know, are racist, yeah. So would you ask this person who doesn't look like the white person, and you ask them, like, would you put your child also in the racist school, like, you know, to become racist just like them, because they have the curriculum to become whoever they want to become? Just go ask them, like. If the country that you're in, they're racist, like, you know, and then they put it out there like somebody, like, you know, who doesn't like you, like, you know, in the first place, would you take your child and put them to their school, like, you know, for them actually to teach your child, like, you know, to become also racist? Like, come on, man. Yeah, yeah, because then, then they actually have to think, like, it makes them actually like think, like, because when you put some a label on someone, you don't really have to think, because the label is already there for you. Actually, it's already like to act already, like straight away, like, it's already there, like racist is somebody like prejudiced from my skin or something like that, like, and then you don't really, you just seen that one and it's just like, oh man, they don't like my skin already, like, but you don't really take the time to really try and understand like what's really racist, like, you just say it because they write it down there for you already, like, so you cannot put racist like on that, like, you cannot put racist on that, or you cannot put like racial discrimination on that, like, that's just like, this is just mental health talk. This is just mentally like insanity, like, something that have not existed yet, like, we want to put out there and put it like it's something that's like, it's divisional, it's like, oh yeah, that happened, like, but because he's from, like, and then all of a sudden they're actually trying to compare like that, like, nowadays also, like, one incident happened, and then because everybody coming out here and talking about the death of the individual, like, and then the other side, they start like, coming out also, oh, you remember what happened to this one, how come it's not really talked about, like, you remember when this one happened, like, how come this was not talked about, like, no respect for nothing. People just want to be right, like, this death is better than the other one, like, I was talking about the, like, this death is better, like, I was like, oh man, the way that, he ran over, he stopped her, like, he stopped this one, this culture, like, how come this is not talked about, like, how come, like, it's insane, like, it's insane. Yeah, pure insanity, like, so the mental health, like, it's not really talked about that much, like, people just skip the mental health, like, and thinking everybody's okay right now, like, and just want to state things because, like, the action happened, so we just jump into it and then just say, oh man, it's a racial thing, like, if you take the racist enough, like, and then they ask you, like, what's the motive, like, and that person not want to do something like that, like, what would you say? Take the words off and put the feeling there up front, like, what would you say then after that? Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, that's sick, like, So when I'm talking about the sick, like, the for you to change your your head, like, so you then also like can actually like slow down, like, and start thinking really, like, that's the sickness I'm talking about, like, not like, oh, you just have a little bit of cough, or you have a little bit of sneeze, or you have a little bit of like I don't know, man, a little bit of, nah, man, this thing is really, 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 like, I'm talking about like your health, your mental health, like, is insane, You don't want to feel, you just want to go by label and then just jump into it, like, and just say things, like, and you sound crazy also, like, so no feelings about somebody whose life was taken, no feelings on that, not at all. You just want to come out there, protest, walk, march, and then say it's the incident that happened, like, it's a bunch of white people, or some of them were from different, like, it's just like, like, for me, like, I find it very like disturbing, man. I actually like left it like for a long time. I didn't want to jump into it. I just seen everybody just coming out and just speaking, and all of a sudden they have a protest, and all of a sudden everybody start going to those marches. Everybody start marching over somebody, not to suspect it, but somebody who went to a shop, rob, or maybe didn't rob or anything like that, like, but we don't want to see somebody, like, on camera, when, and then call it like it's a racist thingy, like, that's just weird, man. This is weird. Like, this is weird. You know, you diminish like somebody's like you know, the incident that happened. Like, you know, we always like diminish all the time. Like, you know, oh, it's just a racist thing. Like, you know, because of his color, or because he's black, or because he's from a different country, or something like that. Like, you know, basically what you tell him, like, because he's black, like, you know, we're gonna treat him like always like that. Like, you know, because racism, like, it takes people's rights. You know, it takes people's rights. Once you just go out there and say like, oh, he was racist, like, you know, you actually giving them like your rights, like, you know, to do things for you, because they see like, you know, oh, I did something really extreme to someone, but then he just says a racist thingy. Oh man, why not? Why not treat everybody who just called me racist, like, you know, but I'm gonna do something extreme to them, like, you know, but it's just gonna be a racist thing, like, what the hell, like. It's weird, man, you know, everything are just racist things, like, you know, but the it's like saying the people who go, like, you know, to war, like, you know, and two people, like, you know, had dispute, like, you know, or maybe they have a disagreement, or like, you know, they just didn't like, you know, maybe the hair, or maybe they didn't like the color and like that, like, you know, you two people, like. And then the guy goes to the soldier, like, you know, and then he's like, yo, man, you know, put your badge on, like, you know, go out there and start like doing a whole bunch of crazy things, like, you know. And you know, because you just like see the label, like, you know, as war, like, you know, against another country, because, like, you know, he says something to that other person, and the person says something to the person that he felt some type of way, like, you know, now he's telling you to go out there and bomb all the other people out there, like. You don't know, like, you know, because you don't really have faith towards, like, you know, another individual. You never really had a confrontation, like, with somebody similar to the person, like, who just, you know, like, you have no animosity or nothing like that. You just put your bags on and put the gun, and then you go out there and start doing a whole bunch of crazy things. Like, you are a criminal, like, you know. You don't even know what you're fighting for, like. You don't know, you know. So it's the same thing as racism. Like, you know, you don't even know what you really like saying, like, you know, it's a racist thing. Like, you're just saying it because it's a label. So you giving them rights, like, you know, for them to do these heinous things to you guys, like, you know, and because you just calling it something that doesn't really exist, like, you know, in your world, like, you know, and it exists in their world because they created it. And now you want to make it like everything that happens, like, it's a racist. What the fuck, like, you know? That shit is like really disturbing, like, you know? Yeah. Yeah, you give people rights, like, you know, for you to say something, and because you give them like rights to do the things, the heinous things, like, to you guys, like, you know, and because it never stops, like, you know. You just go out there and protest racist, like, you know, and basically what you really telling them is, like, you know, we gave up, like, you know, because you guys go out there talking about like peace, and we want justice, we want peace, you know, and all that, like, you know, but you call this, like, you know, incident that happens, like, to you guys, you know, is a racist thing, like, you know. You want to call racist justice. You want to call racist peace, like, you know. Who does that, like, you know? We need to stop this foolishness, like, you know, all this like racism and all this kind of goofy shit, like, you know, it just like looks weird, and then it makes other people also look at you guys also, like, you know, that you really don't care about your life also. It's just, you know, you just call everything that happens to you guys just racism, like, you know. So from another culture, like, you know, they see you guys already, like, you know, you guys gave up already, like, long time ago. And they're gonna continue doing the things like over and over and over and over again, like, you know, because you're calling something, like, you know, that's not really compared to something that somebody is gone, and you want to call it like a racist thingy, or like, it's weird, man. That's pure insanity. That's insane for you to take something that you don't really understand, like, and put a front on somebody that lost their life, like, that's insane. You're insane. You're crazy. Yeah. So we gotta understand these things, like, so you just have to sit back and relax, like, thinking about, like, look, man, we've been like marching, we've been doing all these racist things like over and over and over. Yes, you like maybe 25, 26, 27, 28, 40, 41, 40, 50, 60, you're still experiencing the same thing over and over and over and over again. Like, what? You want to call everything that happens to you just racist? You can't get into the club, you're racist. You can't do this one, you're racist. You're like everything just racist. Come on, man. It's just goofy, man. Like, why, man? So weirdos, like, like. And the reason why it's like this, because you see all this like paid goofballs, like, who looks like you also, like, they get paid for you, sitting there on your chair, like, or whatever, like sofa, like, and watching those goofballs, like, who looks like you also, like, and talking about like racism, like, white people, they're coming to get us, like, and we have a mothership, like, the mothership is gonna come and collect us, and then we're gonna go to a wonderland, and then we all gonna be like free and all that kind of goofy shit, like, yeah. Everything is just about like you giving up, like, trying to escape, like, the life, like, that's the person who created this world, like, who gave you, like, it makes it so easier for you to understand, like, but because you're watching all these goofballs, like, on TV or on those YouTube pages, like, coming out here talking about, like, oh man, the white man is this, like, the this is this, like, we Christians, we like, we all this like aliens and all this kind of craziness. People coming out here want to make like all their stories about like alien mothership and all that kind of goofiness, like weird shit, like, oh yeah, if you really want to tap into it, like, take this, like, it's good, like, it's weed with like some like heroin and some shit like that, like, we sell it for 100 something euro, like, you buy it also, like, because you're stupid, and last time I was talking about, like, the cigarettes that are all cyanides, my nigga. So for you to escape this world, you need a drug. Not anything like that's like teaching you, like, anything that's like really like natural for you just to sit back and relax and waiting for the people, like, to come out of their mothership or whatever it is, like, I don't know. You just wait, like, a little bit, like, just wait, but because you can't wait, like, it's all these racist people, racist here, racist there, we need to come together and I don't know, like, come together and be one, and then all of a sudden, like, the mothership or some shit like that is gonna pop out of nowhere, like, and then we're gonna leave this world, like, but you breathing in this world, like, and then if something goes really right for you, all of a sudden everything is okay. But if something goes bad for you, it's like white man's fault, your mom's fault, your dad's fault, your mother's, like, whoever, like, it's this is mental illnesses, like, because you don't know that you're actually like a sick person, like, not because, like, you're watching people out there, like, and telling you all bullshit, like, they make sure, like, you put things in your body, like, that makes you always anxiety, fear. They put like a lot of like wars. There's a war over there, there's a war over here, there's a war over there, there's these things happen, and then there's a civil war is gonna happen, and this is gonna happen, and put fear and all of that kind of craziness, and then all of like, and you watching all those things, like, also in those movies, like, but the things that you're eating, like, it makes you also, like, fear the things, like, that you think is actually gonna happen, like, in the world that you're in. But if you really walk outside the house, like, nothing happens. Nothing happens unless you let it happen, like, nothing happens. Nobody's just gonna walk up to you, like, and do something to you, like, nah. the world doesn't work that way. Like, you know, if you let it happen, if you say like, you know, oh, you racist, like, you know, so you give them the right, like, you know, to do something for you, like, you know, because you actually like separate yourself, like, you know, from them. So now they're gonna see you like a true threat, because yeah, like, you know, they start seeing already, like, you know, I'm not racist, I'm not. Then all of a sudden, like, he starts saying, oh yeah, go back to your country, then go back there, like, you know, if you don't like it, you go this, go this. So there's a separation there already, like, you know. It's crazy. But people are glossing over, like, you know, the health, like, you know, atmosphere, like, you know. Yeah, whoa, aliens, mothership, Jesus is gonna come back, Muhammad is gonna come back, Winnie the Pooh is gonna come back, all this goofy shit, like, you know, oh, you wanna tap into this new world that we're gonna go, oh yeah, take drugs, you know, take mushrooms, take this, like, you know, you're gonna be better and feel better, like, you know, these people are coming for us, or these people, like, you don't know, like, you know, even the person who looks like you talking about the things, like, you know, that he sees also, like, you know, it makes them fear also, like, so they put the fear, like, you know, on you also, like, you know, but they just put a little bit, like, you know, in some words, like, yeah, when the galactic comes, like, you know, you have this mitochondria, you know, coming up, like, you know, so our body is so melanin, you know, so we then can spark our light, the sun is gonna shine on us, like, you know, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, they're typical, like, you know, so using all these big words and all that, like, you know, and makes it like sound like they're intelligent and all that kind of craziness, like, you know, but they're just telling you, like, fear, don't do this, like, you know, if you do that, like, you know, you're not gonna get into the mothership. Don't do this, like, you know, you're not getting into the heaven. Don't do this, like, you know, if you do this, you know, going like zakat, like, you know, you're not gonna get any benefit, like, you know. But we just gloss over, like, you know, but we look at the health timetable, like, you know, everybody just all their mind. So the fear kicks in, like, you know, with all this, like, wars, all this, like, I don't know, like, but you have a heart disease, dementia, you don't know, like, dementia is the reason why you paranoid also, like, you know, so you fear all this bunch of craziness, like, you know, you walk out of the house, like, you know, you walk around there with fear, and they can sense the fear, like, you know, so you give them the right, like, you know, to do something to you, like, you know, and heart disease, everybody's like, don't want to, you know, look into the, like, you have people, like, who sick also, like, you know, trying to promote health. How, like, that's it's like pure insanity, like, you know, you're a sick person, like, you promoting health, like, how, like, how, like, you know, so somebody who gave up long time ago, like, you know, is telling you to be better, but you're just gonna listen anyway, like, you know, because somebody is, like, maybe one of your friends, or somebody is, like, you know, who is wearing a suit jacket or something like that, like, you know, but most of them only promotes anyway, like, you know, drugs anyway, like, you know, nobody's really promoting anything that's natural. Go outside your backyard and you find a little bit of herbs there to eat, you know, or whatever, like, you know, nobody says that, like, you know, everybody promotes chemicals, like, for your health. How can something that hurts you be beneficial for you? Like, this is crazy. How, like, how, like, I don't know, like, how a chemical substance, like, gonna help you, like, you know, in the long term? How? If you ask somebody, like, you know, who eats meat, like, you know, bro, would you eat, like, you know, raw meat? Because I had this guy, like, you know, his name is Collins. We have a show called, like, you know, Let's Talk About It, like, you know, and, you know, we talk about, like, life and, Christianity, Quran, and other things like music also, like and also like food industry, food, health, and everything like that. So base, I be on on the head side all the time. So, and we always go back forth, like and about health. Like he thinks like not everything like that people are going through in their life is about health, like and that's already somebody like who does not understand anything about his biochemistry, like doesn't, like but he's so interested in something like that's gonna come and save him one day, or one day he's gonna go to somewhere which is heaven, like and in heaven, like he does not eat at all, like but in the physical world, like he does eat, like so I find it very strange, like so you don't eat in the place where it's all pure, you can eat as much as you want, you're never gonna die, but you're never hungry over there. You don't eat over there at all, like and there's bacteria and there's bacteria and viruses all there, like and also like the devil will be chilling in heaven also, like and this is in his word, like. So I asked him one day, like I'm like, bro, man, would you eat like raw meat, and he's like, nah, man, I cannot do that, like but I will cook the things, like and put a little bit herbs on it, like so I can enjoy the food that I like, But then I go like, bro, man, you just said like you don't like something, like that's the way it is, like raw, He's like, yeah, man, I wouldn't eat like a raw, I cannot do that, I'm like, yeah, but like you cannot say like the things that you buy, like and it's the way it is, like you don't like the way it is, like it's disgusting, it's filth, but you're gonna take it and also put it in your oven or anything like that, or you put some herbs into it, like so you then can taste something that you can eat, like because animals, like you're eating animals, like and also like but before that, like animals, like they're being experimented like all the time, like that means the human being don't really have respect for the animals at all, like so that means we look at animals like as kind of like disgusting or filthy living creature, like so we find them like very filthy, like like the dirty animal or the filthy animals, like so we call each other like those type of names, like all the time, like so but we take those animals, like and kill them, like and then we eat them, like but we don't like when they're like raw, like so we just like them when they're cooked, like so if you don't like something, like that's like the way it is, like you cannot just take and then start cooking it, like and eat it as well. So me saying that, like now he realized, like what he's doing, like it's a little bit like insane because you cannot take something that you don't like, like and eat it, like you cannot do that, like ah man, I love it anyway, like it's delicious, like I was like, okay, man, so I'm gonna live like I'm gonna live my best life, I'm living my best life right now, like and me eating, the way I'm eating, like I'm loving it, like so you have to understand, like when you say something like that, like that you don't like to eat something that doesn't look very, like appealing, disgusting, the way you even, like answer, when I ask you, like, do you eat like raw meat, like and you say, nah, man, I'm not gonna eat that, I'm gonna cook that shit, like but and because you said, like you're gonna cook that thing, like so in my brain it's like, okay, man, this guy is saying like you're not gonna eat something that's really disgusting, at first, and your first thought and your first view of something, like that is disgusting, like and you're not gonna eat it the way it is, like but you're gonna take the something, like that's disgusting, still put it in the oven or put it like in your pot, like put some seasoning into it, like so you can eat it, like and because he realized why he's just said to himself, like and all of a sudden it's like I don't care anymore, like So now, like, you know, for me, this person, like, you know, that has answered in that fashion, like, you know, he's basically telling me, like, you know, I just gave up, like, you know, the life that I'm living, like, you know, even though I know something that I'm doing, like, you know, it's not really great for my body, like, you know, I just gave up, like, you know. So in my brain, it's like, you know, how can you like something after, you know, and say it's delicious, like, you know, but you living, but you're not really living on your fullest, like, you know, but you do want to go somewhere, like, you know, where it's always like pure and everything like that, like, you know, but you eat something like filthy, like, you know, how are you gonna get somewhere, like, you know, where it's pure, like, you know, when you're eating like filthy things, like, you know, and those filthy things you don't really like in the first place, like. So you gave up, like, you know, to go to so you gave up, like, you know, to go whatever you said, like, you know, it's like heaven and all, like, you know, where everything is pure, you know, and you have to be clean, like, you know, to get whenever you want to go, like, you know, but you just gave up, like, you know, to go, like, you know, in that purest place, like, you know, by saying, like, you know, man, fuck it, man, I'm gonna take this nasty thing, like, and put it in my body, like, you know, and while I'm praying, like, you know, and God will accept me the way I am anyway, like, you know, He's gonna put me in the position to go, whatever, like, you know. Not only that, He's already in heaven also, like, you know, but He doesn't know He's in heaven, like, you know, but He wants to die also, like, you know, to go to heaven, like, you know. So, like, we saying things, you know, when we say things like that, like, you know, and whatever concept, like, you've been given and you're reading it and you're trying to do research and you're trying to figure out, like, you know, want to go as deep as I want to go, like, you know, to me, for understanding, like, you know, what I'm reading or what I am actually trying to live by, like, you know, is something really beneficial, like, also, like, you know, in the future, like, you know, but the way it looks like, you know, you want to live like right now, right here, right now, like, you know, in this moment in time, like, you know, to experience, like, what really going on right now. But if we're talking about right now, right here, right now, like, you know, you don't really subscribing into something that you're actually reading, like, actually gonna get you into the position that you want to go, like, you know, because you're just saying like something that is filth, you know. We call ourselves, like, you know, you're dirty animal, you're filthy animal, you're stupid animal, you're a dog, you're a, you know, so we call ourselves like animals, like, because animals is the lowest apparently it's the lowest, like, curse that you can actually tell to someone, like, you know, we get that, like, you know, you animal. So abnormal, you're like, you abnormal, like, you're not like really a human being, like, you know, in that moment in time when you do something like wrong, like, you're an animal, like, you know. But you eat it, you know. So the ignorance of that, like, you know, because, like, you know, like, you know, what you're doing right now, like, you know, is something that you already, like, condition yourself into, like, you know, for you to accept at least, like, you know, what I'm doing, like, you know, it's not really like benefit, like, you know, where I want to go, like, you know. But because someone, like, you know, who doesn't do the things that you want to do, now is like, oh yeah, you also, like, you know, kill the plants, like, now you want to get on me. But the thing is, like, it's gonna get worse for you also, because you're saying, like, you know, I'm killing the plants, like, but for you to eat the things, like, you know, that you say is nasty, you know, it's disgusting, it's filth, like, you know, that you put in your body, like, you know, you're saying also that you need to eat that, like, you know, but for you to eat that, like, you know, you need to put the herbs, like, you know, and the seasoning and the vegetables, like, you know, in your meat for you to taste that meat. So you basically not even like tasting the meat really, because you're not really eating it raw the way it is. You actually eating vegan food, like. So, like, this is mental illnesses, like, this is pure insane, like, you know, you're saying things, like, you know, it sounds like, you know, because everybody wants to be intelligent, like, you know, because that's actually a good thing also, like, you know, because that means like, the world that we live in, like, it's really not really like um, they put you in a position like, actually for you to look dumb, like, because we curse each other all the time, like, you stupid idiot, you're cunt, like, you're dumb, you're an animal, like, you're stupid, like, you're dumbass, like, we just call each other like names all the time, like, so people are looking to become more intelligent, like, by reading books, and that's kind of a trick, because now that you actually go into someone like, who his name is on the books that you're reading, and he looks intelligent, he's standing there, or he's sitting down, like, with his glasses, he looks like really intelligent, like, so you read it, like, for you to become a little bit more intelligent than the people that you used to talk to, so you also can sound also intelligent, better than the person, or better than whoever, like, but what happened to you is like, because your genetics or your understanding, like, is little different, not different, like different. So you're not better, they're not better, you just see the world differently, and they just see the world differently, and you act and do things like, more differently. Your characteristic behavior is totally differently than the other person, like, but now you're taking someone else's character, like, so you're taking another personality, like, so you're just insane, so now if I say something like, that's like going to benefit you, for the way you behave, the way you should behave also, like, you're gonna deny that because you took somebody else's personality, like, the other personality sounds intelligent but it does move intelligent, but it sounds intelligent, like, but all this time along, like, you were being intelligent like long time ago, like from the birth, like, till today, you're still intelligent, like, but because we all curse each other, stupid, you dickhead, you dumbass, what, so we lower each other's like way of life. We lower each other, like, you don't have a better car than me, you don't have a better house than me, you got a little bit, like, everybody got a little bit of money, not everybody like put their chest out, like, thinking that, everybody got a little bit of money, like, everybody got a little bit of money, and everybody driving now, everybody like, now they're trying to put somebody down, like, oh yeah, like, yeah, man, let me do the same thing also, like, but none of those things, like, are intelligent, like, for you to say things like that, like, if I ask anybody, like, that I know anything, that I ask them the same question, they're gonna answer the same thing also. And the context of that is like, we just gave up like a long time ago, like, I know that I'm doing bad anyway, I'm gonna do it anyway. Yes. Like Tayem, like, he sounds intelligent, like, but he's trying to compare, like, racism and government and politics, like, somebody that's lost his life. Yeah. Because he sits there, like, he sounds very, like, like he knows what he's talking about, like, but he doesn't even say anything like that you actually sit down, like, when you just listen to him, like, really, like, you're gonna start falling asleep. You soon maybe look for comedy or something like that, because he just sounds like really boring. He's not really gonna affect anybody's life, or he's not really gonna no, man. Yeah, this is mental illnesses, like, people like doing all this riots and all this, like, things like that. This has nothing got to do with all this, like, this is all mental illnesses, like, hard on the craziness, like, you have a bad heart, you're gonna hurt someone. You put something in your body, like, that's gonna affect your body, that's gonna affect your heart, or anything like that. You're not gonna be nice to someone because you don't even feel nice in the first place. Like, how can you love somebody if your heart is fucked up? Like, how? You have more worries than in you, like, than you actually going out there and you want to love anybody, like, nah, man, that's not the way it works. And everybody's like that, like, but because everybody's like, can go out there and put some different clothes on and then look different for one day and look different for one day and taking another somebody's personality and now looking like different one day and all that, like, reading different books, taking people's personalities and then trying to sound like intelligent, to UFOs, fucking goofballs, like talking about like taking drugs and all that, like, you know, it's good for you beneficially, and take HPG, you know, all this CBDs and all that kind of craziness, like, you know, like, you know, nobody's telling people like to slow down, like, you know, just slow down. Slow down, relax, just go outside, have some, hug a tree or something, like, you know. Nobody, just like, oh, something wrong with you? Oh shit, what's wrong with you? Oh yeah, we know what's wrong with you. You know, you need this booster, like, you know. Yeah, it's good for your liver, it's good for your heart, like, you know, and it's great for you, for your brain, whatever it is, like, you know, it's gonna get rid of it, like, you know, straight away. Yeah, take this, you know, it's my website, take that. You know, nobody's saying slow down, man. Get off the phone a little bit, like, you know. Stop listening to this, like, stop listening to goofballs, like, you know, listen to yourself more, like, than listen to, even myself, like, you know, you don't really have to listen to me either, like, you know, but it's just annoying for me to see, like, goofballs, like, you know, giving platform. Also looks like you also, you know, coming out here, like, you know, putting their fear on you, like, you know, because they get feared, like, you know, but the shit they've been reading, or but they've been, like, it's just crazy, like. So they're gonna go out there and read fear, like, you know, they're reading, oh yeah, it's a read like this, oh my damn, man, we're gonna go, oh yeah, they're gonna do this to us, they're gonna do this, like, you know. And none of those things happens, like. And these goofballs also, like, you know, coming out here talking about like Ebola. That's gonna be on another video I'm gonna do, like, you know, we're gonna talk about that, like, you know, and people also getting paid, you know, to say all this Ebola thingy, like, you know, and they just look like you also, like, you know, and we're gonna get into that, like, you know, but for today on, I just want to talk about this mental insanity, like, you know, the way we operate, like, nowadays, like, you know, because now, like, everybody is on the edge, like, you know, to just like take on the plug. You don't want to slow down at all, like, you know, but you want to listen to somebody, like, you know, who wants you to do everything fast. Smoke weed, yeah, come on, man, take drugs, yeah, all that, like, you know, no problem, like, you know, you feel good, like, you know, mothership is about to come as well, like, you know, take us, like, and we aliens and all that kind of craziness, like, today you still believe, like, in those aliens, like, you know, you still like aliens still coming out here and talking, like, you know, and you still believe like somebody's gonna come down also, like, you know, and gonna save you for what, like, for what, like, I don't know. Yeah, you need to slow down, like, slow down, like, you know, not everything, like, you nothing happens, like, you know, like, straight away you have something straight away, like, you know, that's why, like, you know, when, like, you know, the community, you know what I mean, like, you know, if somebody does something, like, you know, and he wants to create anything, like, you know, we expect him, like, you know, also, like, you know, to rapidly, like, you know, to be someone, like, straight away, like, you know, rapidly, like, you know, if it's nothing happened, like, in a couple of, like, months, like, you know, people, like, stop supporting, like, you know, people stop supporting, like, you know, that's why we don't really, like, you know, celebrate ourselves, like, you know, while the person is still alive, like, you know, we don't want to celebrate them, like, you know, once it's gone, and then you want to celebrate, like, you know. Yeah, that's mental illness, like, as well. You cannot support someone, like, you know, to be patient with someone, like, also, like, you know, that is trying to create something for the betterment of the community, like, you know, you don't want to do it, like, it's crazy. So we need to stop all this, like, racism thingy, like, you know, I was talking about that already, like, this racism thing, like, you know, it's gonna hurt you, just like something happens really extreme and you want to blame it to racism, like, you know, it's just, that's insane, like, that's pure madness, like. Crazy. Yeah. Slow down. Just slow down, calm down. Go hug. Go call your mom, dad, or your sisters or anything like that. Talk to them or do something like anything like human interaction, like talk, like do something, get yourself a girl or something like and don't be afraid like to like everybody's still the same, like people just like all mad and angry and all that kind of craziness, like just be nice to someone, someone's gonna be nice to you also, like it's that simple, like it's not that hard, like where you have to think over, like oh, this is gonna happen to me if I do this and all that kind of craziness, like nah man, come on man, this is just foolishness, like you have goofballs like be coming out here because they're getting paid to come out here and just say things like yeah, women are like this, men are like this is that, like going back and forth, all these kind of weird, like it's just weird, man. Yeah. So take that racism off and then just look at the world the way it is, like and then you then understand like where you really at, like and you're gonna see like it's not that deep at all, like no, you just letting things happens to you, like by you putting something in there, like you putting something in front of the actual situation, like how they really feel about you, like so you put somebody there like oh really, I can just do something really bad to someone and they're just gonna call me racist? Oh, great! That's insane, like that's insane. That's no. Yeah. So we have to go back and just look at, it's a health issue. It's what we put in our system, like it's what we drinking. Yeah, it is, like it's an environment that you are, like we have to look at, like nothing works in life if you're not healthy. Nothing works in life when you're not healthy. Nothing works. Nothing works. You're just gonna continue doing the foolishness that you've been doing last year and this year. You're just gonna continue doing the foolishness, and then you're gonna talk like Collins also, like whereabouts, like you don't like something but you're gonna do it anyway because you want to live your best life, like best life, like how are you gonna live your best life, like how are you gonna live your best life, like how is that? Like you say best life, like that's the maximum feeling, like you should have, like to live your best life, like but when you cut your life short, like and you saying like this is your best life, like and you eating whatever you want to eat, like this is your best life, like you look goofy, like how can you live your best life if you cut your life short, like how? You shorten your lifespan and you say you're living your best life. Oh man, don't laugh at shit like that, man. We only have one life to live, like we should live it in the fullest, like how, how you have one life to live, like would you not like really like take care of the life that is only like once, you should take care of it, eat better, drink better, sleep better, have a better conversation with people, be nicer to people, and bond or do something great all the time, like but when you just say like oh, we only have one life to live, fuck it, like so you give up and you shorten your lifespan also, like and you should do foolishness, like how's that best life? How's that best life? How's the shorten your lifespan a best life, like I've never heard something like that, like like oh. See, we say things like because we are mentally fucked up. Everybody's like saying things like because they just sound like somebody who just gave up a long time ago. And when you sound like that, like, so you're giving like other people like also like, to look at you like in certain way, like, that this community, like, every time something happens, like, we want to blame like, something else, like, even though like, they're not really healthy at all, like, not realizing that, like, they're not healthy, like, because as I said before, when you walk around with people who are unhealthy, they eat the way they eat also, like, you also in that group also, like, you will never figure out like, or find out like, that what you're doing or what you're saying, like, is very like beneficial, like, what you're saying or what you're doing, like, no, the only way you can understand it, like, is removing yourself into a more healthier diet, and then you actually can see, like, just like myself also, like, that the things I'm saying, like, yeah, it's gonna come across like the way it is, like, but that's the way it actually, that's the way it sounds, and that's the way it is also, like, and I'm asking the question like that, I get exactly like the same thing. Yeah. Yeah, pure insane, comparing something else that's you don't really understand it to a dead person. Oh man.